Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to something a little bit different. This is 7.62 millimeter high caliber, but we're actually playing with the Blue Sun mod, and I believe I have correctly installed the Mercenaries mod. If I haven't, well, we're still playing with Blue Sun, which is kind of awesome. This is a very Russian game, and I say this because if you've ever played or seen anybody play Metro 2033, this is the same sort of difficulty matter. Okay, wait a minute. Let's go check this out. So if we actually go, none of this really makes much difference. I could probably turn that all the way up to 8's as high as it goes. I've got more than enough computer to run this. Yes. Okay, yes, we'll get to that. Arbitrary. Let's see. Um, yes, okay. We want that. We can ignore that. Eagerness. Soldiers don't need sleep. Then turn that off. Quick repairs. Turn that off. Hit probability I want on because. And then. What does this do? This. Okay. This is very useful to have. Okay, we'll turn that off. This game is very, very hard. It's supposed to be. I like it that way. Uh, yeah. So all these little options change the way things work. Dumb enemies is horrible. With this turned off like it is, enemies will not basically auto victory. Because with this turned on, they're stupid, and so the first thing they do is immediately charge you and blaze away. And there's at least one mission that I have found to be absolutely impossible with this turned on. But we'll get to that. None of the rest of this really matters. We're going to accept that. Okay, go back. So we're going to go to a new game. Yes, the other thing, the one that it wanted me to restart for, I will change. Not this guy. Where is... No, Lambert. Lambert is my favorite character. My favorite character to use because she's very smart, and this is useful. But she's very agile, and this means that she can ready her weapon very quickly, and that's important because everything in this game takes some time, and we'll see that shortly. But we're going to boost this to about 50. 50, thank you. Let's see, we can put a little bit into camouflage, and you can see this going down as we do it. Sapper. Yeah, we're gonna go ahead and put 10 points into here, and then the rest of it into Sapper. And this will make our character a very snipey character. But if everything goes well, that will turn into a very fantastic thing, because the last thing you want to do in this game is get shot. And you heard that ding there, and that's the game letting you know that things are happening. But welcome to the Blue Sun system. So this is welcome to Algeira, which is the country we're in. You've been contracted by Mr. Alexei Rezvi to locate Ippolit Bashirov. Like I said, a very Russian game. But you are to promptly meet Mr. Rezvi at the hotel in Puerto Viejo to receive details regarding his mission. Guide Mr. Rezvi hired for you, Paquito, is missing along with your equipment. It would be prudent to check on his whereabouts after Mr. Rezvi's been contacted. Fortunately, we don't have to say his name too often. But first, you need to select your class. 6 classes, each has different class skills that will only cost 1 point when leveling up, while other skills outside your class will cost 2 or 3 points. Each time you level up, you'll get 3 attribute points and 3 skill points to spend. These 6 points are in addition to any increases one may gain as part of the default in-game reward system. Like I said, this is a very complicated game, and we'll see. Alright, so, um, you can tell from the various class skills, eyesight, agility, and dexterity. It means eyesight is your ability to find enemies, agility is your ability to break out your weapon and do it quickly, and I don't remember what dexterity does. But then stamina, sniping, and camouflage. Stamina is the blue bar here. If when you're running, which walking, running, and sprinting. If you're running and sprinting, you're using up lots of stamina. I believe you also use it a little bit when you're sneaking, slow sneaking, and crawling. But just walking uses so little that it doesn't that you actually regenerate faster. So I missed the trooper. Trooper is a bit odd. I find it. Heavy weapons tend not to be the best thing in the world for a main character. I like to be a sniper because, well, it's all about. Oh, excuse me. All about not getting shot. Alright, check attributes. Right, if we had any points, you could spend them on this screen, and we'll get to that later. But so we've got pretty good, pretty good abilities. And all right, complete character creation. All right, so now we do have a few attribute points and a few skill points. So we can go to spend points. We can go to class attributes and skills, and then we have these options. So these are yeah. So let's bump eyesight. We're going to use all our skill points on eyesight because that will make it easier to see the enemies. And for here, non-class. So because these are non-class skills, they cost double points to increase. So we're going to put one into stealth and then one into shooting. There we go. And close the screen. And now we have our cursor. So you can see the excuse me, move. It takes 1.68 seconds. If I move it over here, it's 2.39 seconds, and the character will actually left click. Oh, we're paused, which is spacebar, and the character moves, and it takes this amount of time. You can also walk backwards, and she will walk backwards, which if you drop to the ground, you can actually crawl backwards. That's pretty useful if, for example, there's enemies that are... Now, terrain actually makes a difference. And if we... I didn't know that there's a way... Ah, here we go. The right mouse button. And you can see there's a... oh, right, forgot. Yeah. You can see there's a little bit of terrain difference there. And if you duck back behind, pop up and then duck back, you can actually avoid being shot by a lot of things. But first thing we want to do, is sneak and quick sneak. That's right. So we want to come over here and search this car because that will. She searched that from a really long distance. And here you can see your interface. Now, right now, all we have is this, which are basically the pants pockets, and then this is for a uniform type. So, literally, this is actually the how you level up, and as you kill 21 enemies, and then you will go up a level, and you get there's player class level and game level. Game level is I'm not entirely sure what that is. I think that's as you progress and do things. I think it's affected by what you're carrying. But a Beretta 92 FS, which is kind of terrible, but here and here. These are all your pants pockets. Now, we're going to accept that. Hang on. Let me make sure there's nothing. Yeah, okay. I want to make sure there was nothing else left in there. Alright, so you see where this says 0? If we click detach magazine, we get an empty magazine. Now, the gun has to have a magazine to have bullets in it, although there's a couple that do have... So there's two ways that do have that don't have a removable magazine. But we put this in her hand, and now we have all these options lit up. This is a snapshot. This is a hip shot. Excuse me. And then this is an aim shot. This takes a little bit long. Okay, this is the quickest, but it's the least accurate. So if we were to here we go. Alright, now this indicates we have no bullets, but you can see the little cursor there. That indicates that we could, in fact, click and pull the trigger. However, because we don't have any bullets, she didn't fire a shot. Right click, there we go. And it actually costs different amounts of time. There we go. So, now you can see this range, and that's the time it takes to extract the bullets from the box and put them into the individual magazines, which incidentally takes longer in real life than it does actually in the game, by the way. Unless, of course, she's got a speed loader hidden somewhere. But then you can take it and drag it over here, and it's now loaded. I'm not sure why loading a magazine into the gun is instant, but you can also click unload ammo, and now this would actually be here. If we unload ammo and put it here, it actually takes less time to, 4 minutes and 50 seconds, 4.5, almost 5 seconds to load it. However, if we unload the ammo here, put it back in the box, it takes 12 seconds to put it back in the box from loose rounds, which really shouldn't take that long. But, well, she had to also unload this too. So, however, drag it over this. Yeah, it takes 7 seconds to do this instead of the 5 seconds that it took from loose rounds. But loose rounds, as you can see, took up this whole 2x2 section instead of just this box. But, Alt. Yeah, one shot would take 1.74 seconds. Whereas this would take 0.76 seconds and almost 3 seconds. So, yeah, as you can see, this is not a simple game. Nothing done in this game is simple. Fortunately, in this area, there's not really that many, or there aren't any enemies. In the vanilla game, you would start by your car and then be ambushed by two guys with basically sawed-off rifles. Rifles sawed off and converted into pistols. Now, there is... Where is... right. I don't need that. Now, to get out of this map, most maps would have in this little green square in the lower left corner. I just turned my camera to face it, and I forgot that we're not in combat. In this little green square on the map, there would be a big yellow circle. And if you're in combat, you'd get that yellow circle. I'm trying to remember how all this works to explain it. But basically, you'd stand in that yellow circle, and after a short amount of time, this button would pop up. Because it's grayed out during combat, so that you can't just run away. But if we click leave, I don't know why I said kick, but you can now see we have an overworld, and we can't see all of it. What we can see is this line indicates the civilized area of Algeria, whatever. This is the area controlled by the government. Outside of here is controlled by the rebels, and we'll meet the rebels. There's also here is a border into another country. We'll go there later. We'll need some assistance before we go. This is Sagrada. This is the capital of Algeira, and then this is Puerto Viejo, which is where we're intended to go. This is Campesino, and this is Artrigo. Now, Santa Maria here is technically a red square because it's controlled at the moment by the rebels. But we'll get to Santa Maria shortly. To go anywhere, you basically click your destination. Now, the game is still paused, and we're actually on high speed. Now, the higher your speed, the faster you move, but the less stealthy you are. which is awkward because it means that you can be hit a random encounter, and the enemies will turn up and be a nuisance. So we're going to actually lower the speed here, and that, as you can see, speed is very fast, but camouflage is low. Turn this down, you can be incredibly camouflaged, and you'll go slower, but you will avoid a lot of trouble. Now, as you can see, this is awfully slow, but if we go up to a faster speed, we'll be a little more vulnerable. We can get on the road and start moving. Now, these two circles are kind of important. The red one is your red is the range at which you can detect enemies, and blue is the range at which you're camouflaged, I believe. No, red is how when the enemies can detect you. Blue is where the enemies where you can detect enemies, I think. Let's see. No, red is where you can detect enemies. Blue is where the enemies can detect you, I think. But you can see on the map there's little indicators of what the buildings are. There's a publishing house. This one has a police station, a post office, a hospital, which is a very important thing to know where it's at, an unemployment office, which I find kind of hilarious, and a broadcast station. What it does not have, and I think this is the only town in the game that has it, or doesn't have it, is a bar. This is not the capital. I think that's Artrigo. But we're going to Puerto Viejo, which is basically a tourist town, essentially. You can also boost your time acceleration, and that just tweaks how fast that you move on the map. But you can see here there's a bar, a hotel, the mayor's office. The mayor actually stands out here because this is not an enterable building. The bank is important, and we'll get to that when we have money enough to put in the bank. It has its own police station, and we're going to go over there soon. And a hospital. This is basically, it has a museum, but there's not really anything useful in there, I don't think. But this is a very useful town. It's a basic starter town. There's a couple of quests you can do to fight enemies, and we'll do that soon enough. But for right now, we're going to go talk to Mr. Resby and get basically our main quest. The log has been updated, which is this button. I don't know why it's been updated because there's nothing in here, but okay. However, there's a con artist. Wait, there's our target. You gotta use the arrow keys to move around. And you can see that our blue bar has gone down because we're basically sprinting through the world map. It's not a good idea to move around this game without having a weapon equipped and loaded. Alright. Alexei Resby. Alright, here's the deal. Your job is to find Bashirov. I know he's in this godforsaken country somewhere. The dump they call Algeira is split into two zones, the open zone and the restricted zone. Bashirov, as you might have guessed, is hiding out in the restricted zone. So your first order of business is to go to Arturigo, the government center. Okay. Find the interior minister, a guy named Juan Rebenga. Weird last name. Here, I'll give you a picture of our mark. Keep it with you. We're in with the local cops, but don't go overboard. Conceal your weapon. You may also want to look for some stuff with a bigger boom. Anyway, I can't say the job will be easy, but that's exactly why we hired you. So you got it? Find the SOB, bring him to me, get paid. In the worst case, I'll settle for a body part, preferably the head, preferably recognizable. Otherwise, I can't guarantee payment in full. Where can I find you? Relax. When you find the SOB, I'll know. I'm telling you, I got my connections. When you do your job, come to this hotel. I'll meet you here. Any idea where I should start? Seriously, which one of us is the expert? I mean, who would know this place better than you? It's all very simple. Walk around, ask around, but don't dick around. Show people a picture, gather intel. If you need to, get support from the government, or the guerrillas, or work your own way. Oh, by the way, your hired translator for the operation, Paquito, was supposed to be here 2 days ago, but as you can see, he ain't here. Drunken something is probably passed out in his own vial again. I suspect that means bile, but... Alright, wish me good luck. Okay, and then he wanders off, and we will not see him again until we find our target. That may be a little while. I know exactly where to go to get him, but going to get him by ourselves is mostly going to get us killed. However, this is a con artist. He's not actually a con artist, he's a weapons dealer. You selling? You bet. You bet, I can see you're in need. I mean, legally a man can't get anything in this country. Leave all self-protection to the cops? Excuse me? I'm the guy you want to see to take matters into your own hands. Let me see what you've got. There's a few amusing conversations that you can get to. Or a few amusing conversation options you can get to if you investigate the various weapons dealers. But you can see that this beautiful piece of hardware is in a nice bright red because, well, we don't lack the money to buy it. However, we could get a sawed-off shotgun, which isn't exactly the best thing in the world. Our Beretta here, however, does have a unique advantage. If you look down in the lower left, you can see that it can, in fact, accept a silencer if this guy happens to sell one. He doesn't. Let's see. Big ammo box of 38. Big ammo boxes are something that was added by the Blue Sun mod. And they weren't in the vanilla game. You'd have to buy lots and lots of these little baby boxes of bullets. However, if you mouse over your gun, either your currently equipped one, there's two shoulder guns with two shoulder slots. Those can accept long guns, and you can put not pistols, but you can put certain guns into a neck slot. So you could actually have a shotgun, a sniper rifle, and a submachine gun, and then a pistol, plus all these other pockets. And we will investigate all these other pockets eventually. But for right now, all you can do is mouse over your gun, and you can see it highlights anything that gun can use. In this case, the 9mm ammo and the 9mm magazines. Now, we do have one spare magazine, so I'm not going to buy another one here. We're going to trade this gun away soon enough. However, if you go to info, you can see a lot of information about the gun. Way more information than you probably ever wanted to know. However, once you have two different guns available, either because you picked one up off a body or you're examining them in the vendor inventories, you can click compare. And now you get these options. Now, neither of these guns have a burst option. So this one actually fires slower because the Beretta 951 is the civilian version of the 92 FS, and so it actually fires a little bit slower, but it does do a little better damage, but it's not as good otherwise. Now, important things to pay attention to: balance. The closer to 50 your balance is, the quicker your gun comes out. No, not the quicker your gun comes out. The quicker it affects the way the gun aims. The higher the balance, closer to 100, makes it stock heavy, and so it can come up and aim quicker, but it's less accurate. Now, as it goes toward 0, it becomes muzzle heavy, and it's much slower to aim, but it's much more accurate because the gun doesn't jump when you pull the trigger. Now, I believe, interesting thing about Berettas is that their magazines are interchangeable. So these two share the same magazine, but this does not, because this is a 45 ACP, and this is one of those really silly Russian guns, and then this is another silly Russian gun. You will find a lot of very Russian guns. We'll not worry about an army flask, although this can be useful. Now, the next person to go talk to is actually none of these guys, but it's actually inside the bar here. And as you can see, she's walking, but if we click this, she will go to a full run and get to her target much quicker. But as you can see from this bar, she uses a lot of stamina. Alright, come on. Get through the... Okay. No, we're going to walk, and then we're going to press W. This guy wants to talk to us. Why do you want to... Oh, I know who you are. Maybe later. He's a CIA agent. He's kind of a jerk. There's 3 useful people in here. The German, who we'll deal with later. The trader, and a bartender. Let's talk to the bartender first. Any news? Nothing new. Okay. Why that ends the conversation, I don't know. But let me see what you got. And he has a lot of options. Let's Trade opens his vendor inventory. He sells lots of ammo. He sells a fair bit of ammo, actually. It sells quite a bit of off-the-wall ammo. 12 caliber. I don't even wanna. But what he sells that's more important is gear. Stun grenades aren't quite as useful as they could be. We'll get into those later. But a bottle of wine, okay. Okay. He used to sell backpacks. It may be a... here's a good guy. This is a regular's trader. He will have a slightly larger selection of guns, but they won't be quite... The con artist out there will get certain guns that this guy won't be able to get later. But this guy can also repair your weapons. So if this weapon becomes dirty, it can become damaged, or you'll pick up guns from enemies that are damaged, and then you equip it into your hands, and then tell him I need my weapon repaired, and he will repair your weapon. And he does it for free, which is awfully nice. But if you go to show me your goods, you can see he has that shotgun. It's actually a little more expensive because he's a regular trader. However, he also has the Colt and another Makarov. Makarovs are kind of the worst gun you could find. But he also has magazines for guns that you won't find until later in the game. And it's kind of a, hey, you could get this later. Now, this is a tactical vest, and it goes in this slot, and it opens up more of your inventory. You don't until you hit accept, you don't actually buy the thing. But you can see it opens up all this inventory, and different vests have different inventory slots. This one can fit some of the bigger revolvers, which are very cool, but I'm not going to buy that from this guy. I'm going to go ahead and leave, and we're actually going to go and look at the cars around here. I'm aware of the fact that we're running up against our 30-minute time limit. However, if we come down here, we should... I remember where I am. Aha! So this car has... We need to come here, and we need to go ahead and sprint. The reason our red... I remember the reason our blue bar is not full. We are exhausted after our exertions in the desert, and we need water. So we were looking for an army flask, and the flasks seem to slowly generate water. Alright, so you can go back to walking, and then we're going to search the car. And the car contains a machete, which is not the best weapon in the game, but it's not a bad thing to have. Let's see. Alright, let's see. Alright. So if we go in and zoom in real close, I want the rebels to come and kill you because I want your gun. That's a Steyr AUG, and it fires 9mm bullets, and with a scope becomes one of the most effective sniper weapons in the game for quite some time. If we come over here, and we're going to make her run, because otherwise she's going to take forever to get here, and we're almost out of time. But if we come over here, there's some crates over here, and they should have some stuff in them. Alright, and now we can go to walking. As you can see, she's carrying that machete. But in this crate, we find another machete. Aha! This is a ballistic vest. This adds weight to you. This adds weight down here, and you want to stay at least um, under 80%, I think. I think it's 80%. But you can grab the med kit and the duct tape. Duct tape is useful and will come in handy later. But we don't want to weigh too much. But now we have some protection against enemies that may shoot at us, which is always a good thing. Aha, a belt. Put this here, and we get open up a couple of slots, and now we can actually put our gun in our belt if we so choose. But we're going to leave it there, although you can actually get to those slots from here. This guy is just a local, and locals don't usually have anything to say. If they have something to say, they'll have a unique name. Let's see. I don't see anything in this car. We need to go over here real quick. And we're going to run a little over our half-hour limit, but that's fine. She's going to have to start walking here. Sure, yeah, she's going to have to start walking because otherwise she's going to become completely exhausted. I was hoping to find a... Oh, no, wrong car. Hoping to find a canteen, but I didn't. And in the next one, we will go into the police station and investigate in there, because there's usually some good stuff in the... any enterable building should be... blue dots on the map indicate people that are unique. So if we search this, we find a Glock, which is a very good find. Now, as you can see on this, it can take a laser aiming module or a tactile flashlight. Those will change the balance, but they'll also do things to them. This already has a slightly lower balance than the Beretta, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. But this has been 7.62mm high caliber with the Blue Sun mod at Triax 2, and I will see you guys in the next episode.